If I lose control, promise me you'll stop me. The soldier who became energy itself, Liam Cross wasn't the kind of man to take the simple life for granted. Tall, broad-shouldered, with short black hair and a face marked by battle scars, he was a former space marine, a soldier who had seen the worst the galaxy had to offer. Now, however, he lived a different life, one that was far less glamorous but considerably more peaceful. He had traded the noise of war for the quiet hum of a cargo ship working as a delivery man for various interplanetary corporations. His role simple transport valuable goods between the stars. The deep space routes had become his home, a world of vast empty voids and distant glittering lights. And yet, despite the silence and solitude of the job, Liam had grown accustomed to the peace it offered. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a job he could rely on. The pay wasn't much, but it kept the bills paid and the ship's engines running. Today, his destination was different. Today, he was headed to Novara Station, a bustling spaceport located near the edge of the Zoran system. He had received a request from one of the biggest interplanetary corporations requesting immediate transport of an important piece of equipment to the station. His task was simple: deliver it, get paid, and move on. But as Liam approached the station, a strange unease washed over him. Novara was no ordinary station. It was a research hub, a center of scientific discovery, and while it may not have the scale or prestige of other space stations, it had its own allure. Its towering spires reached up into the void like silent sentinels, its halls filled with cutting-edge technology and brilliant minds. As he guided his ship into the docking bay, Liam couldn't help but feel that something was different about this place. His ship settled into the bay with a smooth hiss, the docking clamps engaging with a soft metallic thud. He grabbed his jacket, checked the security of the cargo, and made his way toward the station's interior. The sprawling corridors of Novara were alive with movement, scientists, engineers, and travelers from all over the galaxy, their faces painted with the signs of long hours and tireless work. Liam had seen the kinds of people who passed through here before, but he wasn't one to engage much. This was a place for thinkers, not fighters. As he navigated the labyrinth of hallways, he was led to a room that appeared to be some sort of research lab. The door opened with a faint hiss, revealing a tall, elegant woman standing by a holographic display. Her skin was a striking shade of green, her hair a series of twisting tendrils that resembled vines, her eyes a brilliant shade of violet. She was Orlin Venora, a scientist from the distant planet Zalaris. Orlin had a reputation among the scientific community, though it wasn't necessarily one that garnered her admiration. She was known for her unconventional methods, her tendency to think outside the box, and her dedication to researching energy sources that others deemed impossible. Liam Cross, I presume. Her voice was calm, confident, and strangely inviting. Orlin Venora, I've been expecting you. Liam paused for a moment, his gaze taking in the room around him. The walls were lined with advanced equipment, various energy readings flickering across the consoles. But what caught his eye was a small, intricately designed device sitting on the table before Orlin. It wasn't the most advanced-looking piece of tech, but there was something about it that seemed to pulse with energy. That's me, Liam said, his voice low and steady. I've got your shipment, safe and sound. Just tell me where you need it. Orlin nodded, her expression softening as she gestured to the device on the table. I need it placed here on this console. It's the catalyst for my research. It will allow me to study the energy I've been working with. Liam's gaze shifted to the device once again. It looked like nothing more than a strange metallic cube. Yet there was something about it that made his skin tingle, an unsettling feeling he couldn't shake. What is it? He asked, his curiosity piqued despite himself. It's a generator. Orlin explained, her tone shifting to something more passionate. Not just any generator. This one harnesses the energy of what I've come to call eternal energy. It's a form of power unlike anything we've encountered before, a limitless source that can change the very fabric of our reality. Liam raised an eyebrow. Eternal energy. That sounds like the kind of thing that gets people killed. Orlin's eyes sparkled with excitement. It's true that many would consider it dangerous, but think of the possibilities. Energy without limits. No more resource scarcity, no more wars over power. It could revolutionize everything: transportation, medicine, even space travel. We could finally live in a universe where energy is never a concern. Liam regarded her quietly for a moment, the weight of her words settling in. He had seen the aftermath of wars fought over resources, wars that had torn apart entire civilizations. But this was something different, something that could change the entire galaxy. It sounded too good to be true. "And you're studying this here at Novara?" he asked, his voice skeptical. Orlin nodded. "Yes, Novara is the perfect place for it. We have the facilities, the expertise, and the freedom to explore without interference. But we need more research, more data. That's where the equipment you brought comes in." Liam's mind was racing. "And you think this eternal energy could really do all that without turning the galaxy into a war zone?" Orlin's smile was almost wistful. "That's the hope. But it's a dangerous hope, Liam. There are forces out there who want this energy for their own purposes. Forces who would stop at nothing to control it." Liam felt a chill run down his spine. He had fought wars for resources before, but this was different. "So you're telling me that someone might come after this thing?" he asked, his tone flat. "Exactly," Orlin said, her voice firm. "And that's why I need your help." Liam stared at her, his gaze narrowing slightly. "My help? I'm just a delivery guy. I'm not in the business of fighting wars for scientists." Orlin took a step closer, her eyes locking onto his with an intensity that he couldn't ignore. "I'm asking you for something more than a delivery, Liam. This energy, it's not just a scientific breakthrough. It's a weapon, a tool of unimaginable power. If the wrong hands get it, everything we know could be destroyed." Liam exhaled sharply, running a hand through his short hair. "What do you want me to do? I'm just here to drop off a package. But I don't like the sound of anyone trying to use this thing as a weapon." Orlin studied him for a moment, then nodded. "I understand, but you're in the right place at the right time. If we don't protect this, it could fall into the wrong hands. And if that happens, it's not just Novara that's at risk. It's the entire galaxy." Liam looked at the device again. The weight of her words pressed on him, and for the first time in a long while, he felt that familiar, uneasy stirring in his chest, the feeling of a storm on the horizon. "All right, I'm in," he said, his voice quieter than before. "But I don't like getting involved in things that could get me killed." Orlin's smile was small but genuine. "I promise you, Liam, I'll do everything in my power to ensure that doesn't happen." As the two of them stood in the dimly lit lab, the device between them hummed faintly, as if aware of the fate that was about to unfold. The energy that pulsed within it was unlike anything Liam had ever encountered, a force that could either change everything or destroy everything. And somehow, despite the risks, he knew that his life would never be the same again. Liam's mind churned as the implications of Orlin's words began to sink in. He had been a soldier, a man who was used to surviving in hostile environments, but nothing prepared him for the situation he now found himself in. A limitless energy source, eternal energy. A power that could change the course of history. At first he thought Orlin's words were just the passionate ramblings of a scientist. But the more he saw the way she worked, the more he understood there was truth in her conviction. The way she spoke about the energy, the sense of wonder in her eyes made it clear that this wasn't just another scientific experiment, it was something far bigger, and it made him curious. He had been in deep space long enough to know that the unknown wasn't always a friend. The galaxy was filled with dangerous anomalies, technology that could tear apart civilizations and artifacts whose powers were better left untouched. Yet something about this energy intrigued him. Orlin spoke of it as though it was a blessing, not a curse. Eternal energy, she called it. But Liam's instincts, honed by years of conflict and survival, told him that anything this powerful had the potential to be dangerous. The more he thought about it, the more his curiosity grew. What was it really? Could it truly be as amazing as Orlin believed? "Liam, I can see you're skeptical," Orlin said one day, noticing the way he watched the energy core from a distance. "But I promise you this isn't like anything you've ever encountered before. This energy doesn't obey the usual laws. It exists outside of the limitations of time and space. Imagine tapping into a power source that never depletes, something that's not bound by the resources that constantly threaten to run out." Liam crossed his arms, his gaze still fixed on the humming device. "How does it work?" he asked, his voice guarded, not fully trusting what he was hearing. Orlin paused for a moment, considering how best to explain something so far beyond conventional understanding. It's not just a power source, Liam. It's an entirely new way of thinking about energy. It's like a force that fuels existence itself. You could harness it for infinite purposes, to travel the stars without fuel, to heal the sick, to change the course of history. But the problem lies in control. It's something so raw, so untapped, that we're only beginning to understand it. Her words were like a magnet pulling at Liam's mind. The way she described it, it sounded too good to be true, but that nagging feeling in the pit of his stomach told him that nothing worth having came without cost. Still, the allure of the energy, the power to change everything, was undeniable. It was a temptation he hadn't expected, especially in a life where he had been trained to protect and fight, not to question or explore. As the days passed, Liam's interest in the eternal energy only deepened. Every time Orlayan talked about it, there was a sense of awe in her voice, an excitement that Liam couldn't ignore. He found himself wanting to understand it better. The energy had an almost magnetic pull. Every time he stood near it, he felt a strange hum in the air, like the very molecules around him were vibrating with potential. It was intoxicating. Then the changes started. At first, Liam didn't notice anything unusual. It was subtle, a slight tingling in his fingers, a rush of heat in his chest, and then a surge of energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. One morning, after spending hours with Orlin studying the core, Liam found himself standing in front of a mirror, his reflection looking different. His muscles felt more defined, his senses sharper. His mind was clearer than ever before, and his physical strength seemed enhanced, almost superhuman. He was stronger, faster, and more aware of his surroundings. It was as if his body was becoming more attuned to the energy, reacting to it in ways he couldn't explain. "Orlin, something's happening to me," he said, the words escaping his lips before he could stop them. Orlin looked up from her console, her expression a mix of concern and fascination. "I had a feeling this might happen," she admitted, walking over to him. "The energy reacts to the human body in unexpected ways. It's amplifying your physical capabilities, your neural activity. It's like it's syncing with your biology, rewriting the way your body functions." Liam flexed his fingers, feeling a surge of power at his fingertips. "I feel different. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the energy is coursing through me. I can feel it inside, like it's part of me." Orlin stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. "That's because it is part of you now. The energy isn't just external, it bonds with you, with your very cells. That's why it's so dangerous, but also why it's so incredibly powerful." Liam looked at her, his mind racing. "But why? Why would it affect me like this? Why now?" Orlayan hesitated, as though unsure of how much to reveal. "The energy, it reacts to those who come into contact with it. It has the ability to enhance human limitations, to push the boundaries of what the body's capable of. Some people will only experience slight effects. Others, like you, will undergo a transformation. It amplifies what's already inside you, bringing out your full potential. But we don't fully understand what the long-term consequences will be." Liam stood silently for a moment, processing the enormity of what she was saying. He had always considered himself just another soldier, someone who fought, survived, and moved on. But this felt different. He was changing, and not just physically. His body, his mind was adapting to the energy in ways he couldn't control. But was it worth it? The power to surpass human limitations, was it a blessing or a curse? Orlin continued, her voice gentle yet firm. "That's why I need your help, Liam. The changes you're undergoing, they're not isolated. Others could experience the same, but more dangerously, the energy could fall into the wrong hands. And if that happens, everything we know could be destroyed." Liam turned to her, his eyes narrowing. "And you think we can control this energy, use it for good?" She nodded, her expression serious. "We have to try. If we can master it, we could revolutionize everything. But it's not just about harnessing it, it's about understanding it. And that's why I'm here, why I need you here with me. Together we can figure out how to control it, to protect it." Liam took a deep breath, the weight of her words settling into his bones. He had always been a protector, a fighter, but this was different. This wasn't a war he could win with guns or force. This was a battle of knowledge, of understanding. And despite the fear that gnawed at the back of his mind, Liam knew there was no turning back now. He was already too deep. "We'll figure it out," he said, his voice steady but resolute. "But we do this carefully. One wrong move, and it could be the end of everything." Orlin smiled, a look of gratitude in her eyes. "I knew I could count on you." As they stood there staring at the energy core, the silence between them felt heavier than before. The connection between them was undeniable now. He could feel it just as surely as he felt the power pulsing within him. But as much as he wanted to believe that they could control this force, a nagging doubt lingered in the back of his mind. He was no scientist, no scholar. He was just a soldier, and soldiers weren't supposed to meddle with things they didn't fully understand. Still, as Orlin's words echoed in his mind, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that his life was on the verge of something far bigger than himself. Something that could change the galaxy. The tranquility of Novara Station was shattered when the alarm system blared to life, the shrill sound reverberating through the metallic halls. Liam's heart skipped a beat as he rushed toward the command center, his mind racing. Something was wrong. Orlin, already there, was scanning the data feeds, her face ashen. She didn't need to say a word. The look on her face told him everything he needed to know. Novara, a station that had been a symbol of scientific advancement, was under attack. But who would dare strike such a critical hub? "Pirates," Orlin murmured barely above a whisper. "Space pirates. They've targeted the station." Liam's eyes narrowed as the word echoed in his mind. Space pirates weren't a rare occurrence in the far reaches of space, but they were generally small-time criminals. They rarely targeted high-profile stations like Novara. And yet here they were, an entire fleet moving in on the station, like wolves circling their prey. But this wasn't just any heist. This was something more dangerous. The pirates knew what Novara was hiding: eternal energy. And they would stop at nothing to get their hands on it. "Who are they?" Liam asked, turning toward Orlin, his tone sharp. "What do they want with the energy?" Orlin's fingers flew across the console, calling up schematics of the pirates' ship movements. "They're part of a notorious group known as the Ironclaw Syndicate," she explained, "a ruthless faction that specializes in raiding stations for valuable technology. They've been after the eternal energy for months, ever since the first reports of its discovery leaked. They know that if they can harness it, they'll become unstoppable." Liam's fist clenched at his sides. The Ironclaw Syndicate had a reputation. They were notorious for taking what they wanted by force if necessary, and showing no mercy to those who got in their way. Liam had crossed paths with them before, but he had never imagined they would go this far. But it made sense. The energy Orlin had described wasn't just powerful. It was the kind of power that could reshape the balance of the entire galaxy. Why would they think they could just waltz in and take it? Liam growled, his voice edged with anger. Orlin turned to him, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. "Because they know that Novara is a research station, not a military base. They think we won't be able to defend it." She paused, her lips tightening. "But they're wrong." Liam didn't hesitate. He knew what needed to be done. "Then we fight back," he said, his voice steely with resolve. The station's alarms continued to blare as the pirates' ships closed in. Liam and Orlin rushed toward the armory where the station's limited defense systems were stored. They knew they didn't have much time. As they suited up, Liam felt a surge of adrenaline. He wasn't a soldier anymore, but the instincts were still there. His training kicked in, and for a moment he felt as if he had never left the battlefield. "Stay close," Liam said, his voice low, as he handed Orlin a small blaster. "We'll need to protect the core at all costs. If they get to the energy, they'll destroy everything," Orlin finished for him, her face set in determination. The pirate ships were now visible on the station's radar, huge and imposing. The Ironclaw Syndicate had come prepared with heavily armored warships and fighters that could overwhelm the station's meager defenses. But what they didn't know was that Liam and Orlin weren't about to go down without a fight. As they made their way toward the energy core, the station rocked under the assault of the pirates' weapons. The once quiet halls were now filled with the sounds of chaos, screams, blaster fire, and the heavy hum of the station's emergency systems trying to keep up with the onslaught. But Liam and Orlin didn't stop. They pressed forward, determined to protect the core and the energy it contained. "You're not getting it that easily," Liam muttered under his breath as they reached the core's vault. The pirates would have to go through him to get to it. Orlin keyed in the security code to the vault, her hands shaking slightly. "Almost there," she whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder. The door opened with a hiss, revealing the eternal energy core still glowing softly in its containment chamber. But their relief was short-lived. As the door opened, a group of pirates stormed and blasters raised. Their leader, a hulking figure clad in heavy armor, stepped forward, a wicked grin on his face. "Nice try, but this is ours now," he growled. Liam didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, using his enhanced strength to knock the first pirate off balance, sending him crashing into a console. Orlin fired her blaster, hitting another pirate square in the chest. But the fight wasn't over. More pirates poured into the room, their weapons aimed at them. Liam felt the energy pulsing inside him, as if it was responding to the danger. His body, already strong from the energy's influence, was now reacting in ways he couldn't explain. He moved faster, hit harder, his body instinctively syncing with the eternal energy in a way that felt almost natural. His reflexes were sharp and every movement felt fluid, like his muscles were made of pure power. He took down pirate after pirate with ease, barely breaking a sweat. "What's happening to me?" Liam breathed, his voice a mix of awe and confusion. Orlin, still firing at the pirates, glanced at him. "The energy, it's changing you, Liam. You're stronger, faster. It's amplifying everything. But be careful, don't let it consume you." Liam didn't need any more warnings. He was already deep in the fight, his mind focused only on stopping the pirates from reaching the core. He could feel the energy coursing through him, and with every passing second, it was like he was tapping into a deeper well of power. He dodged a blast, his body moving before his mind could even process it, and knocked the pirate leader to the ground with a single punch. The fight seemed to go on forever. Every time they took down a few pirates, more would show up, as if the syndicate had an endless supply. Orlin and Liam were fighting side by side, their movements synchronized, but the odds were growing against them. The pirates were relentless, and while Liam's new strength gave him an edge, the fight was far from over. Then in a split second, Liam realized just how much the eternal energy had affected him. As he punched through the last pirate's defenses, a rush of energy flooded his body, and suddenly he could feel the entire station. He could sense the vibrations in the walls, the fluctuations in the power grid. He was connected to the station in a way he had never experienced before, and it was terrifying. The energy was inside him, in his bones and his blood, and he could feel it begging to be unleashed fully. "Focus, Liam." Orlin's voice broke through his overwhelming awareness of the energy. "We have to keep it contained. You need to control it." Liam took a deep breath, forcing himself to ground his mind. The energy felt like a beast inside him, wanting to break free, but he knew he couldn't let it. Not yet. Not unless they could stop the pirates. He glanced at Orlin, who was still holding her ground, firing at the last few pirates who were trying to breach the core's vault. "We can do this," Liam said, his voice low and determined. "We're almost there." The pirates were relentless, but Liam now knew that the true battle wasn't just physical. It was a battle for control over the energy itself, and he wasn't sure how much longer he could hold it back. The days following the battle with the pirates were chaotic, but something far more unsettling than the battle itself began to take root in both Liam and Orlin. At first, it was subtle, an odd sensation that lingered beneath their skin, a feeling that they couldn't quite explain. They had fought together side by side, defending Novara Station against a deadly threat. But as the dust settled, the real change began to unfold. The energy, eternal energy, had not only altered the course of the station's fate, but had begun to change their very biology in ways neither of them had anticipated. Liam felt the difference first. In the days after the fight, he noticed that his body was adapting to the energy in ways that were both exhilarating and terrifying. His reflexes were sharper, his strength amplified. But it wasn't just physical changes. It was as though his entire perception of the world had shifted. He could feel the hum of the station systems more keenly, the vibrations of the floor beneath his boots, the faintest pulse of energy that seemed to flow from every corner of the station. It was like he was plugged directly into the pulse of the universe, but the sensation was overwhelming, as though he were walking on the edge of an abyss. "Orlin," he said one evening, standing in front of a mirror studying himself. He had grown more muscular, his frame more defined. He didn't need to flex to see the change. It was as though his entire body had been sculpted by an invisible force. "Something's wrong. I feel different, stronger, but I can't explain how. Orlin entered the room, her eyes scanning him, before resting on the faint glow emanating from his skin, a subtle, almost imperceptible shimmer. It's the energy, she said, her voice steady but tinged with concern. The eternal energy. It's altering your physiology. It's adapting your body to better interact with it. Liam turned toward her, his brow furrowed. You mean it's changing us? She nodded slowly, eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. Yes, the energy isn't just a power source, it's a biological catalyst. It's merging with your body at the cellular level, amplifying your strength, your senses, and your reaction time. It's changing the way you perceive the world. Liam's heart raced. Is that why I feel like I can sense everything? Like I'm connected to the station, to everything around me? Exactly. The energy is reshaping you. But this is just the beginning. We don't fully understand the extent of its effects yet. Orlin's voice grew more serious, as though she too was grappling with the consequences of this newfound power. If the energy affects us this way, imagine what it could do to others, to those who don't understand it. That's why we need to be careful. Liam looked at her, his mind still spinning. But why would it do this to us? What's the purpose? It's not about purpose, Liam. It's about adaptation. The energy is a force that reacts to its surroundings. It's adapting to you because it sees your potential. It's amplifying what's inside you. Orlin paused, her eyes meeting his. It's making you more. Liam didn't know how to respond. He wasn't sure if he felt more alive or more terrified. The thought that something as dangerous as eternal energy could change them like this was overwhelming. It was as though they were no longer fully human, no longer bound by the same rules as everyone else. As the days wore on, Liam began to notice more changes, strange, unexplainable abilities that seemed to manifest out of nowhere. One day, while walking down a corridor, he found himself reacting faster than ever before. A small maintenance droid came at him too quickly, its metal frame gliding across the floor, and before Liam could even think, his arm shot out, grabbing it by the neck and lifting it off the ground effortlessly. His strength was not only greater, but faster, as though his mind and body were working in perfect sync. He dropped the droid immediately, feeling a rush of confusion and disbelief. What the hell was that? He muttered to himself, staring at his own hands as though they belonged to someone else. The next day, Orlin noticed the same thing. She was testing a piece of equipment when she looked up and saw Liam moving with an ease that left her breathless. He was faster than he had ever been before, and the strange energy that surrounded him seemed to vibrate in the air itself. You've got to be kidding me, Orlin said, her voice laced with both concern and fascination. Liam, you're not just physically stronger. You're faster, more attuned to the energy than I thought possible. Liam turned to her, his face clouded with confusion. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's just happening to me. I can't control it. Control it, Orlin repeated, her eyes widening. Liam, we're talking about a force that can rewrite your biology. If you can't control it, you're in more danger than I thought. But what if this is just the beginning? Liam said, his voice low with fear. What if it gets worse? What if it changes me in ways we can't even begin to understand? Orlin's gaze softened, and she stepped closer. We have to find a way to understand it. If this energy is going to change us, we need to figure out how to control it before it controls us. The more Liam thought about it, the more he realized that this wasn't just about physical change, it was about his very essence. He was becoming something else entirely. But what was the price for this power? What was the cost of being able to do things he couldn't explain, of being able to feel the very energy of the universe coursing through his veins? As they continued their research, Orlin and Liam both realized the immense potential and the dangerous consequences of the energy. Orlin had been studying the energy's effects on Liam's body, and she had come to a terrifying conclusion. The more they tapped into the energy, the more it rewrote their genetic code. The biological changes weren't just temporary, they were permanent. We're becoming something else, she said one evening, her voice tinged with dread. I don't think we can reverse it, Liam. We're evolving, and not in a way we can predict. The realization hit them both hard. They were at the precipice of something monumental, something that could either save or destroy them. The energy could provide the answers to the galaxy's greatest problems, famine, disease, even the limitations of space travel. But it was also a dangerous weapon, a force that could change the course of history and not always for the better. What do we do now? Liam asked, his voice heavy with the weight of their situation. He had always been a fighter, always looking for a way to protect others. But this was something else entirely. The energy was changing him, changing them in ways that felt both empowering and terrifying. Orlin looked at him, her face a mix of resolve and uncertainty. "We keep moving forward," she said, her voice firm, but full of the same fear that gripped him. "We have to learn how to control it, or else we risk everything." But as they faced the unknown, one thing became clear to both of them. Whatever this energy was, whatever it was doing to their bodies, it was leading them toward a future they couldn't yet understand. And the price of that power could be higher than either of them was willing to pay. Liam and Orlin had barely recovered from the chaos of the pirate attack when the alarm system blared again, signaling another assault on Navera Station. This time, however, the pirates were not simply rushing in with brute force. They had learned from their previous attempt and came back with a more sophisticated plan, one that was far more dangerous than anything they had faced before. Orlin's eyes were fixed on the station's radar screen, her face pale as she took in the new developments. The pirates had deployed a series of cloaked vessels that were now infiltrating the station from multiple points, making it nearly impossible to track their movements. "They've split up into smaller groups," she muttered, the fear in her voice palpable. "They're going to try to infiltrate our core and take the eternal energy before we can stop them." Liam clenched his fists, his jaw set in determination. So they've learned from last time. They're not going to make the same mistake twice. His mind raced as he tried to formulate a plan. He knew they didn't have the luxury of waiting for the station's security to handle this. They had to act fast, or the energy would be lost to the pirates forever. "We can't afford to underestimate them again. What's the plan, Orlin?" Orlin didn't need to look at him to know what he was thinking. "We can't defend the station on our own. We need to find a way to separate them into smaller groups, take them down one by one, but we need to move quickly. They'll be on us before we even know it." Liam nodded grimly. He could feel the energy coursing through his veins, pushing him forward, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. They needed more than just raw power. They needed strategy. "I'll take the lower levels. You handle the upper floors. We'll try to flush them out and trap them." Orlin's eyes narrowed, her focus entirely on the task ahead. "Be careful, Liam. We don't know how many of them are in there or what kind of weapons they've got. If they're using cloaking tech, we could walk right into an ambush." Liam looked at her, the weight of their situation settling in. "I've fought worse odds before," he said, his voice steady, though there was an edge of concern in his eyes. "But this time it's different. This isn't just about survival anymore. We're fighting for something much bigger." The moment they split up, the full scale of the pirates' plan became clear. Liam made his way through the dimly lit corridors of the lower levels, his senses heightened by the power of the eternal energy inside him. He could feel every shift in the air, every movement in the walls, but he also felt a creeping dread. The pirates were everywhere, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. As he approached a corner, he heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps, too quiet to be normal. A shadow darted across the hallway ahead, and Liam reacted instinctively, charging forward. He didn't think. His body moved faster than his mind, and he had the pirate by the throat before he even saw his face. The pirate struggled, but Liam's grip was unrelenting. "Who else is here?" Liam growled. The pirate, his face masked, only snarled in defiance, unwilling to give up any information. It wasn't until Liam squeezed harder, the power of the energy amplifying his strength, that the pirate's resolve broke. "There are too many of us," he gasped. "You can't stop us. We'll take the energy no matter what." Liam didn't waste any more time with him. He knocked the pirate unconscious, dragging him out of sight before continuing deeper into the station. As he moved through the lower levels, he noticed how the energy inside him had shifted. His enhanced strength, his heightened senses, they weren't just giving him an edge. They were becoming a part of him, almost as if they were a natural extension of his being. But with every use, he felt the energy pulling at him, urging him to release more, to become something greater. Was it possible to control it? Or was he becoming a weapon himself, a ticking time bomb ready to explode? Meanwhile, Orlin was facing her own challenges on the upper levels. The pirates had set up barricades and traps, but she was quick and precise, using the station's advanced technology to her advantage. Her mind raced as she worked analyzing the pirates' tactics and finding ways to counter them. She wasn't just relying on her intellect. She too could feel the changes in her body, the energy altering her perception, making her sharper, more focused. But as she moved through the chaos, she realized that her connection with Liam had grown stronger. They were no longer just allies, they were a team, and together they were more than a match for the pirates. "Liam, do you copy?" she asked through their comms, her voice tight with urgency. "I've secured the upper levels, but there are too many. I need backup." Liam's response was quick, his voice steady. "I'm almost there. Stay with me, Orlin. We can't let them get to the core." But as he moved toward her position, the real test began. The pirates were more organized than they had ever been before. They weren't just trying to take the station, they were trying to overwhelm them, to separate them, to prevent them from ever working together again. Liam fought his way through, taking down pirate after pirate with precision, but every battle drained him more. The energy inside him wanted to escape, to break free, but Liam fought to keep it under control. It was only when he reached Orlin's position that they realized how dire their situation had become. The pirates weren't just trying to take the station, they were trying to destroy everything. The core, where the eternal energy was contained, was now the target. The moment the pirates reached it, the entire station could be destroyed. Liam and Orlin exchanged a glance, their understanding unspoken. This was the final stand. They had to protect the energy at all costs. With renewed determination, Liam and Orlin made their way to the core. Every step felt like it might be their last. But there was no turning back now. The pirates were close, their movements fast and precise. Liam could feel the energy inside him pushing him to his limits, but Orlin's voice, steady and calm, kept him grounded. "We're not giving up," she said. "We can't let them have it. We protect this until the very end." As they reached the core, the pirates were waiting. There was no more room for mistakes, no more time for hesitation. Liam and Orlin fought with everything they had, their connection growing stronger with each passing second. The pirates, realizing the strength of their opposition, fought back fiercely, but Liam and Orlin were no longer just humans fighting to survive. They were something more. Together, they pushed back against the pirates, not just with physical strength, but with an understanding, a bond that no one could break. But even as they fought, Liam knew the stakes. The eternal energy could change the fate of not just Novara Station, but the entire galaxy. If the pirates succeeded in getting their hands on it, everything would be lost. And as the battle reached its peak, with the pirates on the brink of overwhelming them, Liam realized that the power he felt inside him wasn't just for strength, it was for protection. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for the future of everything they had worked for, everything they had built together. And as the final pirate fell, Liam and Orlin stood side by side, exhausted but resolute. They had won, but the price had been high. The energy had changed them, and they knew there was no going back. But in that moment, they also knew one thing: they would protect the eternal energy, no matter what the cost. The battle had taken a turn for the worse. The pirates, now in full force, had revealed a new weapon that none of them had anticipated. As Liam and Orlin fought their way through the station's defenses, they realized that the pirates had upgraded their tactics. It wasn't just brute strength anymore. They had brought in advanced cloaking devices and high-powered weaponry technology far beyond what they had used during the initial assault. Liam could feel the shift in the air. Every step he took was met with a new danger, and it was clear that this fight would not be as easy as the last. The pirates were more coordinated, more dangerous than ever before. As Liam moved through the station's lower levels, he heard the familiar whine of energy shields charging up and the faint hum of advanced weaponry coming from around the corner. "Orlin, they've adapted," Liam muttered into his comms, his voice tight with tension. "These aren't the same pirates we fought before. They've got something new." Orlin's voice crackled in his earpiece, equally grim. "I know. I'm seeing their new tech here too. It's like they've got shields that can withstand anything we throw at them. They're using phase disruptors, devices that can scramble energy signatures. It's like they've hacked into our system, Liam." Liam gritted his teeth. "That explains why our weapons aren't working. They're interfering with the station's power grid." The phase disruptors were a game changer. They rendered their defenses useless, and their weapons were now only effective for short bursts. The pirates had made this a war of attrition, hoping to wear them down. The fight wasn't just against the pirates anymore, it was against time itself. As they moved deeper into the station, Liam could see the damage the pirates had already caused. Hulls were breached and flames licked at the edges of the corridors. The familiar hum of the station was replaced by the harsh screech of alarms and distant explosions. Orland's voice came through again, urgent and determined. "We have to get to their command center and shut down the disruptors before they take out the core completely." Liam's grip on his weapon tightened. "I'm on it, but be careful, Orland. These guys aren't playing around anymore." The pirates' new technology was clearly giving them the upper hand. The energy shields around their ships made them nearly impervious to regular fire, and the phased disruptors were scrambling all of their communications. Liam and Orland found themselves in a race against time. The station's core was still secure, but for how long? As Liam rounded a corner, he came face to face with a pirate squad. They were equipped with plasma rifles and heavy armor, but the moment Liam engaged, his instincts kicked in. His enhanced strength allowed him to take them down with brutal efficiency. But even with his newfound abilities, the pirates were tough. They fought back fiercely, using their tech to shield themselves from his attacks. "They're too well equipped," Liam growled, slamming a pirate into the wall. "We need to level the playing field." Orland, too, was experiencing the full force of the pirates' new tactics. With her knowledge of technology, she quickly hacked into the station's systems, disabling a few of the disruptors and causing some of the pirates' tech to glitch. But it wasn't enough. She needed more. As the battle raged on, Liam felt the strange sensation inside him growing stronger. The energy coursing through his body was becoming more intense. His muscles were tightening, his reflexes sharper, and for the first time he felt as though he was truly connected to something far beyond himself. The energy wasn't just enhancing his physicality, it was warping his perception. He could feel every shift in the air, every fluctuation in the station's energy field. It was as though he could sense where the pirates were before they even moved. Liam's newfound abilities allowed him to anticipate the pirates' moves. He moved faster, his body acting before his mind could catch up. He struck with precision, his blows more powerful than ever. But the energy had a price. It was starting to take a toll on him. Every burst of power left him feeling more disconnected from himself. He could hear his heart beat faster, his body screaming for him to stop, but he kept pushing forward. His hands trembled as he fired the energy, pushing him past his limits. Could he really control it? The question echoed in his mind. Could he control the energy, or would it control him? "Orland," Liam shouted, struggling to maintain his composure. "I don't know how much longer I can keep this up." Orland's voice came through sharp and clear, despite the chaos around them. "Focus, Liam. Don't let it consume you. We need to shut down the disruptors, or this entire station will be gone before we know it." Liam gritted his teeth, forcing himself to keep going. His body felt like it was on fire, but he couldn't stop. The pirates were pressing hard, and he knew that if he didn't keep fighting, they would lose everything. As the seconds ticked by, he pushed through the pain, his mind sharp, despite the overwhelming energy inside him. But just as things seemed to be spiraling out of control, Orland made a shocking discovery. "Liam!" She called, her voice tinged with both fear and fascination. "They've got something worse than disruptors. They've got a quantum destabilizer." Liam's heart skipped a beat. A quantum destabilizer was a weapon capable of tearing apart the very fabric of space-time. If they used it on the core, it would cause a chain reaction that would destroy not just Navarra, but everything in a several light-year radius. It was a doomsday weapon. Orland's voice was tight with urgency. "We have to destroy it, Liam. If they activate it, it's over. I'll try to get to their command center and disable it, but I'll need backup." Liam felt the weight of her words like a ton of bricks. They weren't just fighting for their lives anymore. They were fighting for the entire galaxy. "I'm on my way," he said, his voice steely with resolve. He pushed forward each step, harder than the last, the energy inside him urging him to move faster, to get to the destabilizer before it was too late. When Liam reached Orland's position, the sight that met him was grim. The pirates had already begun the countdown to activate the quantum destabilizer. It was housed in a heavily fortified chamber with a team of pirates guarding it. "Orland, we can't let them get to it," Liam said, his voice low and urgent. Orland nodded, her eyes dark with determination. "We need to work together. If we can disable their tech, we can shut down the destabilizer before they fire it." The pirates didn't make it easy. As Liam and Orlin worked together to fight their way into the command center, the pirates fought back with everything they had. But with the power of the eternal energy coursing through Liam and Orlin's sharp intellect, they managed to break through. Finally, with one final push, Orlin accessed the destabilizer's control panel. "It's shutting down," she said, her voice filled with relief. "We've done it." Liam looked at her, his breath coming in heavy gasps. They had succeeded, but just barely. The pirates had been relentless, and they were only one step away from losing everything. But they had done it. Together. They had protected the eternal energy, and in doing so, they had saved not just Novera Station, but countless lives across the galaxy. But as the battle ended, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. They had won this fight, but there were still greater dangers ahead, dangers that none of them could yet understand. The aftermath of the pirate attack left Novera Station in ruins, but it also marked a turning point for Liam and Orlin. As they recovered from the battle, they began to realize just how much their relationship had evolved during the crisis. The dangers they faced, the constant threat of death, had brought them closer in ways they hadn't expected. What had started as a professional partnership, a simple alliance forged by necessity, was now something much more profound. In the heat of battle, they had come to rely on each other for not just survival, but for strength. They had fought side by side, shared the weight of decisions, and understood each other in ways they had never imagined. It was in these moments of intense pressure that their bond deepened. "I didn't think we'd make it out of there," Liam said quietly one evening as they sat in the dim light of the station's command center. His voice was raw, worn down by the exhaustion of the battle and the lingering adrenaline. "But we did. Because of you." Orlin turned to him, her eyes softer than before, no longer guarded. She had always been the scientist, focused and precise, but in those moments of crisis, something in her had shifted. "It wasn't just me, Liam," she replied, her voice steady. "We did it together. I couldn't have done it without you." For a brief moment, their eyes locked, and neither of them looked away. The unspoken connection between them was palpable, more than just mutual respect. It was something deeper, something that had been forged in the fire of battle. They had learned to depend on each other in ways that words could hardly describe. The strength they found in one another was something neither had expected, but both had come to embrace. "I don't know if this would work under normal circumstances," Liam said, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "But I can't help but feel that we've changed. You've changed me." Orlin considered his words, then nodded slowly. "I feel it too. This energy, it's affecting both of us in ways I never thought possible. It's altering everything, Liam. Not just our bodies, but our minds, our connections." As she spoke, Liam felt the weight of what she said sink in. The eternal energy was not just a tool, not just a source of power, it was a catalyst for change, and it was changing them in ways they hadn't anticipated. Could their bonds survive these transformations? Would the changes they were undergoing, both physical and emotional, drive them apart? Or would they strengthen their relationship even further? It was hard to say, but for now, all they had was each other. The stakes were too high for anything else. As Liam and Orlin continued to work together, their relationship became more intertwined, both personally and professionally. The constant dangers they faced brought out something in both of them they hadn't realized was there. Orlin found herself relying on Liam in ways that were new to her. The scientist in her had always valued logic and reason, but in this war for survival, she saw the value of Liam's instinctual decision-making. He didn't hesitate, didn't waste time questioning things. It was one of the reasons he had been so effective in battle. For Liam, Orlin's intellect had become indispensable. He admired her ability to think strategically, to see the patterns that he missed, and to use the station's technology in ways that seemed almost impossible. Together, they had become more than just a team. They were a force, each one complementing the other's strengths and weaknesses. But with this growing connection came a realization their survival and the survival of the universe was tied not just to the eternal energy, but to the strength of their bond. Could this bond withstand the transformations they were both undergoing? The question lingered in the back of their minds, but for now they chose not to dwell on it. Liam couldn't help but wonder about the power he now wielded. The eternal energy was not just a force to be harnessed, it was a part of him flowing through his veins, amplifying his physical abilities and cognitive functions. The energy made him faster, stronger, more attuned to the world around him. It was as if the universe itself was opening up to him, offering him the keys to its most profound secrets. But this power was both a gift and a curse. With each use, the energy inside him grew more intense, and Liam felt it pushing against his own limits. Was it possible to control something so vast? Was he truly in control, or was he merely a vessel for this immense power? The more he thought about it, the more he realized that this power came with a cost. Orlayan, Liam said one day, as they stood overlooking the station's damaged exterior. I can feel the energy inside me. It's changing me. Every time I tap into it, it becomes stronger, more overwhelming. I don't know how much longer I can keep this under control. Orlin turned to him, her expression filled with both understanding and concern. I know what you mean. I've felt it too. The energy is rewriting our biology, amplifying everything. But we have to be careful, Liam. It's not just about physical power. We're tapping into something much older, much more dangerous. Liam nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. This wasn't just about surviving the pirates or protecting Novara. It was about something much bigger. The energy could change the course of history, but it could also destroy them if they couldn't control it. But as much as the energy scared him, it also gave him a sense of purpose. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for something much greater. As the situation with the pirates escalated, Liam and Orlin were forced to confront a new and terrifying weapon, the quantum destabilizer. This weapon, designed to destabilize the very fabric of space-time, was the pirates' trump card. It had the potential to tear apart the entire station along with everything in a vast radius. Orlin and Liam knew they couldn't let this happen. They had to destroy the destabilizer before it could be activated. But the challenge was immense. The pirates had already fortified the weapon, and the closer they got to it, the more dangerous it became. We can't do this alone, Orlin said, her voice low as they neared the pirates' stronghold. Liam, this is bigger than us now. If we fail here, everything will be lost. Liam nodded, determination burning in his chest. We won't fail, he said, his voice unwavering. We've come too far to turn back now. Orlin looked at him, her eyes softening. I'm with you, Liam. Whatever happens, we do this together. Together they made their way to the destabilizer, their plan already in motion. They would need to use every bit of their strength and intellect to disable the weapon before it could be activated. As they approached the device, they realized just how high the stakes had become. The fate of Novara Station and possibly the entire galaxy rested on their ability to stop the pirates. But as they fought their way through the pirates' defenses, Liam and Orlin found a new strength in each other. A bond forged in battle, a bond that could not be broken. Together they were unstoppable. With one final push, they reached the destabilizer, and Orlin quickly began the process of shutting it down. Liam stood guard, watching for any sign of the pirates. The tension was unbearable, but they held firm. When Orlin finally deactivated the weapon, a wave of relief washed over them. The battle was over, but the journey was far from finished. Liam and Orlin had protected the eternal energy, and in doing so, they had ensured the survival of the universe for now. But as they stood together looking at the destruction around them, both knew that this was just the beginning. They had faced the darkness, and together they had emerged stronger. The war for Novara Station and the eternal energy had taken a toll on both Liam and Orlin, pushing them to the brink of their limits. Yet as the smoke from the recent battles cleared, a new truth began to surface, a truth about the very energy they had been fighting to protect. After weeks of relentless attacks, Orlin had uncovered something disturbing. It wasn't just the power of eternal energy that was at stake. It was something far more complex, something hidden beneath the surface of its infinite potential. Liam, Orlin said one evening, her voice quieter than usual. I've been analyzing the core data again, and there's something I didn't see before. The energy, it's not just an endless power source. It's sentient. Or at least it reacts to the thoughts, the emotions of those around it. It's alive in a way we never anticipated. Liam stood still, processing her words. Are you saying this energy has a mind of its own? His voice was laced with disbelief. That changes everything. Orlin nodded slowly, a grim expression on her face. Yes, it's more than just a resource to be used. It's something far older, something ancient. The reason it's been able to alter us to make us stronger is because it's feeding off of us, growing in response to our needs, our desires. Liam felt a chill run down his spine. He had suspected the energy was powerful, but to think it could have its own will, its own intelligence, it was an entirely new level of complexity. So if the energy is alive, does that mean it has its own agenda? Can it be controlled? He asked, his mind racing with the implications. Orland's expression darkened. I don't know. That's the problem. If we don't understand it, we're essentially playing with fire. The more we use it, the more it connects with us, changing us in ways we can't fully comprehend. She looked at Liam, her eyes full of concern. But there's more. This energy could be the key to everything we've been fighting for. It could give us the power to reshape the galaxy. But at what cost? Liam stared at her, his heart heavy with uncertainty. The stakes had just become much higher. The eternal energy, a force they had believed to be a tool, was now something they had to understand on a deeper level. It wasn't just a question of protecting it from the pirates anymore. It was about whether they could even control it without risking everything they held dear. Could this discovery change the course of the battle they were fighting? Could it give them the power to finally end the pirate threat once and for all, or would it consume them first? As they debated the implications of this revelation, the war continued to rage outside, growing ever more intense. The pirates weren't giving up. They were more determined than ever to seize the energy, and now Liam and Orland knew they had to act quickly. They couldn't let the pirates get their hands on it. Not now that they understood the true potential of the energy. It was too dangerous. Their only option was to attack the pirate base head-on, to destroy their command center and eliminate the threat once and for all. They couldn't afford to wait any longer. The pirates had set up strong defenses, but Orland had already started formulating a plan. Liam, she said, her eyes focused on the holographic map of the pirate base. We need to hit them fast and hard. Their defenses are mostly concentrated at the outer perimeter, but the command center is heavily fortified. We'll need to disable their shields first. Liam nodded, his mind already working through the details. We'll split up again. I'll take the main entrance and draw their attention. You get to the control room and hack into their systems. Disable their security from the inside. Orland gave a quick nod, her face set with determination. We don't have much time. The longer we wait, the more likely the pirates will activate the destabilizer. Her voice softened slightly as she added, And Liam, I need you to be careful. The pirates are expecting us this time. They'll have more traps waiting. Liam's expression hardened, but there was a flicker of something deeper in his eyes. I'll be careful, but I'm not backing down. Not when we've come this far. With that, the two of them moved out, the plan already in motion. Orland was quick, her fingers flying across the station's terminal to gather data and disable the security measures that would otherwise slow them down. Liam, meanwhile, stormed toward the pirate base's entrance, his body fueled by the energy coursing through him. It wasn't just a physical strength anymore. It was something primal, something that connected him to the very power that he and Orland had uncovered. He had come to realize that the eternal energy wasn't just about augmenting his strength, it was a part of him, and he would have to learn how to master it if he wanted to survive this final battle. The pirate base was a fortress, and the closer Liam got, the more difficult the fight became. The pirates, anticipating his move, had fortified their defenses. They had automated turrets, energy shields, and cloaked soldiers ready to strike. But Liam, fueled by the raw power of the eternal energy, barreled through them with unrelenting force. His enhanced strength allowed him to smash through walls, his body moving with a speed and precision that felt almost unnatural. Yet as the battle continued, Liam began to feel the toll of his transformation. The energy inside him was pushing him to new heights, but it was also beginning to overwhelm him. His body ached, his mind raced, and he could feel the connection to the energy becoming harder to control. He knew he had to keep going, but the question remained, how much longer could he hold out? Meanwhile, Orland was working tirelessly to infiltrate the control room, using every bit of her intellect to outmaneuver the pirate systems. She knew the pirates were cunning, but she had studied their technology long enough to anticipate their moves. Almost there, she whispered to herself as she bypassed a particularly tricky firewall. With a final key press, the pirate defenses flickered and went offline, allowing her to disable the shields protecting their command center. But just as she was about to initiate the shutdown, a warning flashed across her screen. "Liam," she called out over the comms. "The pirates have activated a failsafe system. They're about to launch a counterattack and the destabilizer is still armed." Liam's response was immediate. "I'm on it, Orlin. I'm heading straight for the destabilizer now. Just keep the system down for as long as you can." The tension in Liam's body was unbearable as he made his way toward the destabilizer, knowing that time was running out. Every second counted and the pressure of the situation weighed heavily on him. He could feel the energy inside him urging him to act faster, to push harder, but he was afraid. Afraid of what the energy might do to him if he let it consume him completely. But he had no choice. He had to face the enemy, and he had to do it now. As he entered the chamber housing the destabilizer, the pirate leader stood waiting for him, a cold smirk on his face. "You really thought you could stop us," the pirate sneered. "This is bigger than you, human. You're out of your league." Liam's grip tightened around his weapon. "I'm not here to negotiate," he said through gritted teeth. "I'm here to end this." With a surge of power, Liam lunged at the pirate leader using the full strength of the eternal energy to overpower him. The battle was fierce, but Liam felt something change within him. This wasn't just about fighting anymore. It was about protecting everything he and Orlin had worked for. The energy inside him wasn't just a weapon, it was a part of his soul, a part of his identity, and he would use it no matter the cost to protect the future of the galaxy. As the pirate leader fell, Liam made his way to the destabilizer, quickly dismantling the core components. It was a risky move, but he knew it was the only way. "It's over," he muttered just as Orlin's voice came through the comms. "Liam, you did it. We're safe." But Liam knew that this victory came with a price. The energy had changed him, and it was only a matter of time before he would have to face the consequences of that transformation. For now, though, they had won. They had saved the station. They had saved the future. And as long as they fought together, they knew they could face whatever came next. Liam and Orlin stood on the precipice of the final battle. The plan was set in motion. They had infiltrated the pirate base's outer defenses, and now needed to push through to the heart of the enemy stronghold. The air was thick with tension as they made their way into the base's depths, prepared for whatever waited for them. The pirates had fortified their position to an unimaginable degree, with layers of security automated defenses and reinforced barricades designed to prevent anyone from reaching their command center. But Liam and Orlin weren't about to let that stop them. They had already fought too hard to back down now. As the two of them moved deeper into the base, the sound of blaster fire echoed through the halls. The pirates had already detected their presence, and they were ready to fight back. "Get ready," Liam muttered under his breath as he scanned the area. "They know we're here. We'll have to push through fast." Orlin nodded, her expression focused, her mind working through the next steps of their plan. They were well armed, but so were the pirates. And the pirates had a huge advantage. The pirate base was their turf, and they knew it better than anyone. As they approached the main entrance to the command center, their strategy became clear. Orlin was already hacking into the station's security system, disabling cameras and unlocking doors, while Liam prepared to clear the path ahead. The two of them moved like clockwork, synchronized in their every move. But no matter how much they prepared, the pirates were relentless. They fought back fiercely, using every trap and every weapon at their disposal. Liam's enhanced strength, granted by the eternal energy, allowed him to power through the pirates, but he could feel the energy pushing him to the brink of exhaustion. His body was straining against the force of the energy inside him, but there was no turning back. The pirates' response was swift and calculated. They didn't waste time with distractions. Instead, they targeted Liam and Orlin directly, using their advanced technology and knowledge of the base's layout to try and separate them. Automated turrets mounted along the walls fired bursts of plasma, and cloaked pirates flanked them from hidden passageways. Every time Liam thought they had taken down a group of pirates, more emerged seemingly from nowhere. They were prepared, but Liam and Orlin were even more determined. "We can't let them wear us down," Orlin said, her voice sharp as she fired a pulse shot into a pirate's chest. "We need to move faster, get to their command center before they can activate their final defense systems." "Agreed," Liam said, his voice filled with urgency. He could feel his heart racing as the battle intensified. His enhanced abilities were helping him fight back, but the toll was beginning to show. His limbs felt heavy, his mind racing with the knowledge that the more he used the eternal energy, the more it took from him. Yet there was no stopping now. They had to succeed. The base with all its defenses was designed to be a fortress, and it felt like one. But as they continued their assault, something else began to reveal itself, something more insidious. The deeper they went into the base, the more it became clear that the pirates had been hiding something. The walls, once lined with basic security measures, now displayed cryptic symbols and markings, as if they were part of a larger hidden operation. "Liam, look at this," Orlin called, her voice tense. "This base isn't just a pirate stronghold. These markings, they're connected to eternal energy. This place, this base, it's a research facility." Liam turned to her, his eyes narrowing. "What do you mean, a research facility? What are they researching?" Orlin's fingers flew over the console in front of her as she accessed more information. "It seems like they've been experimenting with energy. They've been trying to harness it for their own purposes. This isn't just a military base, it's a laboratory. The pirates have been studying the very same energy that we've been trying to protect." A sense of dread washed over Liam. If the pirates had been studying eternal energy, they could have unlocked its secrets long before he and Orlin ever realized its full potential. And if they had already done so, they might be able to wield it in ways they couldn't predict. "They're not just pirates," Liam muttered, his mind racing. "They're becoming something worse. If they have control over the energy, they could change everything." Orlin's face paled as she processed the information. "That's exactly why we can't let them have it. This could be the end of everything. If they unleash that kind of power, they could destabilize the entire galaxy." The more they discovered, the more the stakes grew. Eternal energy wasn't just a tool for power, it was a weapon. And now the pirates had the knowledge to turn it into a force of destruction. "We need to shut this place down now," Liam said, his voice grim, "before they can do any more damage." As they pressed forward, fighting their way through wave after wave of pirates, they received an unexpected boost. A signal flashed across their comms, a signal they didn't expect. "Liam, Orlin, this is Captain Soren. We've tracked your location and are coming in to assist. Hold tight. We'll back you up." It was the last thing Liam had expected. Captain Soren was the leader of a small mercenary group that had been working independently of Novara Station's main forces. They had been in the area, but Liam hadn't known they'd be able to help. "I didn't think they'd come," Liam muttered, his voice full of surprise. "But we need them now more than ever." The mercenaries arrived just in time, sweeping through the pirate defenses with overwhelming force. They had the firepower and the coordination to tip the scales in their favor. The pirates, unprepared for this kind of assistance, faltered in their defense. With the mercenaries taking the brunt of the assault, Liam and Orlin were able to make their way deeper into the heart of the base. "We've got one chance to stop them," Orlin said, her voice urgent as they reached the final chamber. "If we disable the core now, we can stop the destabilizer from going off." Liam nodded, his mind clear for the first time in what felt like forever. The eternal energy was still inside him, but now it was more than just a force, it was the key to their survival. With the mercenaries providing the firepower, Liam and Orlin made their move, rushing toward the core. "Now, Orlin!" Liam shouted. Orlin's fingers flew across the control panel, and with a final keystroke, the energy surged and the core's systems powered down. The destabilizer was neutralized. The room went quiet, save for the sounds of distant fighting. They had done it. The pirates had been defeated and Novara Station was safe for now. But as they stood there catching their breath, the realization hit them. This wasn't just a victory over the pirates. It was a victory over the unknown, over the energy that had changed everything. The war was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, Liam and Orlin felt the weight of victory settle over them. They had faced the impossible and come out on top, but they both knew that greater challenges lay ahead. The battle for Novara Station had reached a breaking point. With the pirates on their heels and the stakes higher than ever, Liam and Orlin were on the cusp of victory. They had successfully neutralized the pirate base's defenses, infiltrated their stronghold, and were ready to end the war once and for all. But just as they approached the core of the enemy's command center, something unimaginable happened. A revelation about the eternal energy, the very force that had shaped their bodies and minds, struck like a bolt of lightning, completely shifting their perspective on everything they had been fighting for. Orlin was the first to realize it. As she dug deeper into the pirates' files, bypassing their final layers of security, she discovered an encrypted message buried in the code. "Liam, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling slightly as she handed him a datapad. The message was a transmission from the pirate leader, and as Liam read it, his face drained of color. The eternal energy isn't just a power source, he muttered under his breath. It's a weapon that can rewrite the fabric of reality itself. Orlin's eyes widened as she pieced the information together. That's what they've been after all along. The pirates weren't just trying to steal the energy for power, they wanted to control it. The true potential of the energy isn't in just using it. It's in bending reality to their will. Liam stood frozen, the weight of the truth sinking in. If the pirates understood the full extent of the eternal energy's capabilities, if they could harness it fully, it would be a game changer. This wasn't just about control over a station, it was control over everything. This changes everything. Liam said, his voice heavy. We've been fighting them like they're just another group of pirates, but they've been playing a much bigger game. They're not after power, they're after something that could alter the very fabric of the universe. Orlin nodded solemnly, her mind racing. If they unlock the full potential of this energy, they could reshape reality itself. They could destroy entire civilizations. We've been fighting on the wrong battlefield. We need to rethink our strategy. The implications of this discovery hit Liam harder than he had expected. The eternal energy wasn't just the key to victory, it was the key to the future of the universe itself. They had been fighting the pirates on the premise that they were after a weapon, but now they realized that the pirates weren't just trying to steal the energy, they were trying to wield it in ways that could change everything. We can't attack the base the way we planned anymore, Liam said, his voice taut with urgency. If we go in blind, they'll use the energy to crush us. We need to approach this with more caution. We need to understand exactly what they're capable of before we make our move. Orlin's mind was already working on a new strategy. We'll have to find a way to neutralize the energy somehow. We can't just let them use it. If we let it fall into their hands, it could destroy everything we know. The whole galaxy could be at risk. The decision was made. They couldn't attack the pirate base head-on like they had planned. The new mission was clear: find a way to neutralize the energy to contain it before the pirates could unleash its full potential. But as they began to rethink their approach, the pirates, realizing the full scope of their mistake, changed their tactics too. It didn't take long for the pirates to adapt, to recognize that they had underestimated the power of the eternal energy. When they realized that Liam and Orlean had discovered their true intentions, they went into full defensive mode. No longer were they attacking indiscriminately. Now they were digging in, preparing for a final stand. They reinforced their positions, bolstered their forces, and began to turn the station's weapons against the very people who had once been their allies. They know we figured it out, Orlin said, as she scanned the latest transmission from the pirates. They're shifting from offensive to defensive. They're ready for a last-ditch effort to hold us off. Liam's grip tightened on his weapon, his mind focused. They won't stop us. We're still faster, still stronger. The energy has made us more than we were. We just need to make sure we don't let it control us. But as they prepared for the final assault, Liam's body began to betray him. The energy within him was growing more volatile, more intense. With each passing moment, he felt the power inside him, stretching his limits. It was as if the energy had taken on a life of its own, urging him to use it, to release it, to push further than he had ever gone. His heart raced, his body burned with power, and he could feel the energy coursing through him like an unstoppable current. But the more he used it, the more he realized that something was changing within him. He wasn't the same person anymore. His body was stronger, faster, but it was also fragile, on the edge of breaking down. Orlin, he said between ragged breaths, his voice strained. The energy, it's changing me. I don't know how much longer I can keep going. Orlin, who had noticed the subtle changes in his behavior, quickly turned to him. Liam, you need to focus. The energy is dangerous, I know, but you can't let it consume you. We have to finish this. We have to stop them. Liam nodded, though his mind was clouded by the strange sensations he felt in his body. It wasn't just the physical changes, it was a mental shift too. The energy was beginning to take root in his mind, making him more aggressive, more erratic. He could feel it pushing him to act without thinking, to use the energy until there was nothing left of him. I'm trying, Orlin, he whispered, sweat beading on his forehead. But it's hard. I don't know if I can control it much longer. Orlin's eyes softened with concern. You can. You have to. We're so close. As Liam and Orlin fought their way deeper into the base, the tension between them grew. They both knew they had reached a point of no return. The eternal energy had changed their bodies, their minds, and now it was up to them to stop the pirates from using it to rewrite the universe itself. The battle raged on, and as they reached the final chamber, Liam's mind swirled with the power within him. The energy was pushing him to the brink, and for the first time he felt as though he might lose himself entirely. Orlin, he said, his voice barely a whisper. If I can't control this, if it takes me, promise me you'll stop me. Orlin looked at him, her face filled with determination. I promise, but we won't let that happen. We're in this together. As the pirates closed in, ready to unleash their final weapon, Liam and Orlin knew that they had one final chance to stop them before the energy they had fought so hard to protect consumed them all. The aftermath of the battle and the discovery about the true nature of the eternal energy weighed heavily on Liam and Orlin. Their bond, which had deepened over time, was now being tested by the revelations that had come to light. As the dust settled and the gravity of their situation became clearer, the tension between them began to rise. They had always been partners, allies in their fight to protect Novara Station, but now faced with the truth about the energy's potential, everything seemed to hang in the balance. I don't know what to think anymore, Orlin, Liam muttered, pacing back and forth in the command center. The energy isn't just a weapon, it's something far worse. And we've been relying on it, feeding it all this time. His voice was strained, filled with frustration. Orlin watched him carefully, her mind torn between the truth she had uncovered and the bond they had built together. Liam, she said softly, we're in this together. We've always known this energy was dangerous, but it's also what's kept us alive. It's what allowed us to fight back when everything seemed lost. Liam stopped pacing and looked at her, his face set with determination but tinged with doubt. But at what cost, Orlin? I can feel it too. The energy isn't just giving us power, it's taking something from us. We're changing, and I don't know if I can stop it. The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken fear. I can't shake the feeling that we're losing ourselves in the process. Orlin looked down, grappling with her own conflicting emotions. She had always trusted Liam, always believed that their connection, their shared purpose, was enough to overcome any obstacle. But now faced with the truth about the energy, even that was being tested. Liam, I don't want to lose you, she said quietly. But we're not the same anymore, are we? The energy is changing us in ways we don't fully understand. Liam looked at her, his expression softening, though the tension in the room remained. We've been through so much, Orlin. I don't want to lose what we have, but I can't ignore what's happening to us. I can feel it every time I use the energy. It's like it's taking over. A silence fell between them, the weight of their situation sinking in. They had always been in this together, but now the stakes were different. The energy that had been their greatest asset had also become their greatest danger. The truth they had uncovered about the energy's power to connect living beings at a biological level added another layer of complexity to their already difficult choices. Orlin, still processing the implications of what they had discovered, found herself at a crossroads. Liam, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The energy isn't just a tool or a weapon. It's more than that. It connects us at a cellular level, at a biological level. It binds us together. That's why we've been able to fight the way we have. We're connected to it and to each other in ways we didn't fully understand. Liam blinked, trying to make sense of what she was saying. Are you telling me that the reason we've been so in sync is because of the energy? That's why we're able to anticipate each other's moves? Orlin nodded slowly. Exactly. It's not just a physical connection. It's deeper than that. The energy amplifies everything, not just our strength, but our thoughts, our instincts. It's like we're, I don't know, linked. Her words echoed in the silence of the room, and Liam felt a strange sense of dread wash over him. That's what the pirates were after, he murmured. They knew the energy could do this. It's not just about power, it's about control. If they can connect with it, if they can control that link, they can control us and everyone else. They could use it to dominate the galaxy. Orlin's eyes widened as she understood the full scope of their situation. And that's why we can't let them succeed. If they break the connection or manipulate it, they could not only destroy us, they could unravel everything. This isn't just about saving Novar anymore. It's about saving the entire galaxy. Liam ran a hand through his hair, a sense of helplessness creeping in. But we've already used the energy. We've already relied on it. How do we stop something we've let into ourselves? How do we fight it without losing everything? Orlin looked at him, her face a mixture of fear and resolve. We have to fight it, Liam. We can't give up. We've come this far together. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. Yet even as they made this vow, the pressure of their situation weighed heavily on them. The deeper they dug into the truth, the more complicated the choices became. They weren't just fighting pirates, they were fighting against the very energy that had given them strength. As they prepared for their final assault on the pirate stronghold, Liam felt the effects of the energy's influence more than ever. His body was stronger faster, but there was a price. Each time he used the energy, he felt it stretch him to the brink of his humanity. He was changing, evolving, but at what cost? Orlin, he said, his voice rough. I'm scared. I feel like I'm losing myself. The energy, it's too much. I don't know how much longer I can control it. Orlean's eyes softened as she approached him, placing a hand on his shoulder. You're not losing yourself, Liam. You're just being tested. We're both being tested. But we have each other. That's what will keep us grounded. We can't let the energy control us. We have to use it, but we can't let it consume us. Liam looked into her eyes, and for a moment the weight of the world seemed to lift. Together they could face whatever came next. But deep down, Liam knew the truth. This fight wasn't just about saving the station or the galaxy. It was about saving themselves from the very power they had relied on. The battle ahead would be the hardest they had ever faced, not just against the pirates, but against the energy itself. As they prepared to face the final assault, they knew that the decisions they made now would determine not just their futures, but the fate of the universe. The energy was changing them, but whether that change would be their salvation or their downfall was still to be determined. The stakes had never been higher. The moment had arrived. The weight of the galaxy hung in the balance as Liam and Orlin stood before the monumental task of stopping the pirates from seizing control of the eternal energy. After everything they had learned, all the risks they had faced, it became clear that their next move would require a drastic, daring plan. We don't have much time, Liam said, his voice low but with a sense of resolve. If we let the pirates get to the core now, there won't be a chance to stop them. We have to act now. Orlin, standing beside him, nodded. But we can't just walk in there. The pirates are prepared and so are we, but not enough. We need to be smarter, not just stronger. The solution was simple in concept, but devastatingly risky. They were going to target the core directly, but not in the way the pirates expected. Rather than assaulting the entire base head-on, which would play into the pirates' defenses, they would set up a diversion and penetrate through an unexpected access point, relying on speed and surprise to outmaneuver the pirates. We'll split up, Liam proposed, his gaze unwavering. I'll lead the charge to draw attention, while you slip in from the back, disable the core's security systems, and lock the pirates out. Orlin hesitated for only a moment, knowing the risks involved. It's dangerous, she said, her voice steady but filled with concern. But it might be our only chance. If we don't take it now, everything we've fought for will be lost. Liam turned to her, his eyes dark with determination. We don't have a choice. We've pushed ourselves beyond our limits. This might be the one time we have to risk it all. The stakes had never been higher. The plan was as audacious as it was perilous, and even as they devised it, they both knew the odds were stacked against them. Still, the desire to end this war, to stop the pirates from misusing the energy, was greater than their fear. And so they set their course, one that would either save or destroy them all. But just as they put their plan into motion, the pirates retaliated with a fury that neither Liam nor Orlin had anticipated. The strategy they had employed, carefully orchestrated to disrupt the pirates' operations, was met with an overwhelming counterattack. The pirates had been preparing for this final confrontation, and they were more prepared than ever. They're coming from all sides, Orlin said through the comms, her voice tinged with urgency as she observed the rapidly escalating situation. They know we're inside, and they've activated every defense system they have left. This is no longer a fight for the core. This is survival. Liam gritted his teeth, clenching his fists. They've underestimated us once, and they're doing it again. This is our chance. We'll break through together. But the pirates were far from passive. Their new countermeasures, high-tech turrets, energy shields, and cloaking devices turned the tide of the fight in their favor. It wasn't just brute force they were using. The pirates adapted quickly, switching between guerrilla tactics and overwhelming firepower. The station's corridors were now littered with explosive traps designed to weaken Liam and Orlan's resolve. Even with their enhanced abilities, the pair found themselves pushing harder than they ever had before, their bodies screaming for rest as the pirates' onslaught continued. "Orlan, we need to hold out," Liam said, his voice strained. "They're not letting up, but we can't stop now. We're too close." Orlan's voice cracked slightly as she responded, "I know, but we can't keep this up forever. Our only advantage is our ability to adapt faster than they can react. But at what cost?" Liam's heart pounded in his chest. The pressure of the situation was overwhelming, and the truth of their struggle became undeniable. They were fighting not just against the pirates, but against the energy itself, which had pushed them to the brink of exhaustion. Yet despite the odds, the tension only heightened, and the stakes of the battle loomed larger. The final confrontation was drawing closer, and Liam and Orlan were about to face a truth that could change everything they thought they knew about the eternal energy. As they advanced deeper into the pirate base, they were forced to confront the terrifying reality of what the eternal energy had become. It was no longer just a source of power, it was a force that had infiltrated every aspect of their existence, binding them to it in ways they hadn't fully understood. The more they relied on its strength, the more they realized that their connection to it was not just biological, it was something far more profound. "Liam," Orlan said, her voice shaking with the weight of what they had discovered. "The energy. It's not just inside us. It's us. We're not using it. We've become part of it." Liam stopped in his tracks, feeling a deep sense of dread. "What are you saying?" he asked, the words barely escaping his lips. Orlan looked up at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of awe and fear. "It's merging with us, Liam. We've been feeding it, and it's feeding back. We're no longer separate from the energy, we are part of it, and it's changing us at a fundamental level. It's not just about survival anymore. It's about control. And right now, we don't have control." The realization hit them like a punch to the gut. The very energy they had used to fuel their fight against the pirates had transformed them in ways they couldn't reverse. The pirates, in their pursuit of power, had underestimated the force they were dealing with. But Liam and Orlan had underestimated it too. "We've been playing into its hands," Liam said, his voice filled with regret. "We thought we could control it, but it's controlling us. And now we're part of the very thing we were trying to stop." With this newfound understanding, Liam and Orlan knew that they had one final choice: to embrace the energy and risk everything, or to sever their connection to it and potentially lose the only advantage they had left. But as the pirates prepared for the final attack, Liam realized that there was no easy choice. "We have to finish this," he said firmly. "Whatever the cost, we're going to stop them. We're not just fighting for Navarre anymore. We're fighting for everything this energy represents. And for once, I'm going to make sure it's us who control it." As the final battle approached, Liam and Orlan stood side by side, ready to face the enemy that had pushed them beyond their limits. The war was far from over, but they now knew that the true battle was not just against the pirates, it was against the power that had shaped them. The final decision was in their hands, and with it, the fate of the universe itself. The energy had changed them, but in the end, they would decide if it would be their salvation or their undoing. Liam and Orlan had always known that their connection to the eternal energy was powerful, but nothing could have prepared them for what they discovered in the final moments of their mission. As the battle reached its peak and their bodies were pushed beyond their limits, a hidden ability, something neither of them had noticed before, surfaced unexpectedly. It was as if the energy had unlocked a potential within them that they had not realized was there, an innate power tied to their shared bond. As Liam stood over the wreckage of a pirate assault droid, his breath ragged, he felt something shift deep within him. A pulse of energy, not just external, but something he could feel resonating through his very core. He turned to Orlan, who was working feverishly to hack into the pirate systems, and saw the same realization dawning on her face. "Do you feel that?" Liam asked, his voice low but with an edge of disbelief. Orlan, her eyes wide with shock, nodded slowly. "Yes, it's like..." Like we're connected to the energy in a way we never were before. It's inside us, but it's more than that. It's us. For a moment, neither of them could speak. They had always used the eternal energy, always known it was amplifying their physical abilities, but now it was clear that there was something far deeper, far more intricate about their connection. They were no longer simply individuals using a power. They were part of it, bound to it in ways that defied logic. This is, Liam started, his voice faltering. This is more than we thought. It's not just changing us. It's, it's a part of us. Orland's eyes locked onto his. It's like we've been connected to the energy this whole time, but we never understood how deep that connection went. We've been using it, but now it's using us too. The realization was terrifying. They had thought they were in control of the eternal energy, but now they understood that the energy had been controlling them as much as they had been controlling it. However, as their awareness of this power grew, so too did their understanding of what it could do. This was the key to victory. The energy was no longer just a tool to defeat the pirates. It was their weapon, a force that could shape the course of the entire war, and possibly the galaxy. Liam felt the energy surging through him like an unstoppable current, but this time he didn't resist. Instead, he let it course through his body, focusing it into a singular point of clarity. Orlan, he said, his voice stronger now. We can use this. We can turn the tide. We don't just have to fight, we can control the battle. Orlan, still processing the magnitude of their discovery, nodded. Yes, if we can tap into this connection, we can alter the energy's flow, manipulate it, directly change the battlefield itself. We don't just react anymore. We can shape the outcome. And with that realization, the two of them launched into action, their new abilities working in tandem to create a dramatic shift in the war. They didn't just fight against the pirates anymore. They bent the energy to their will, using it to short-circuit enemy systems, disrupt their weapons, and disable their defenses. With every pulse of power, they felt the control they had over the energy deepen, pushing back against the pirates in a way that had never been possible before. The battlefield transformed before their eyes. The pirates, who had once held the upper hand with their advanced technology and fortified base, now found themselves vulnerable. Their weapons misfired, their systems shut down, and their defenses began to crumble under the weight of Liam and Orlan's newfound strength. For the first time, the pirates were not just losing, they were utterly defenseless. The reversal was swift and overwhelming. We have them. Liam said, a note of awe in his voice as the pirate forces began to scatter, their once impenetrable defenses now rendered useless. This is it, Orlan. We've won. Orlan's lips curled into a small smile, but there was no joy in it. The cost of this victory was still unknown. Not yet, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. We need to ensure the eternal energy is safe before we can call this a win. But just as they began to believe the tide had fully turned, the pirates regrouped, launching a desperate final assault. This time they were fighting with everything they had, and their counterattack was far fiercer than anything they had faced before. But now Liam and Orlan were no longer just reacting. They were controlling the battlefield. Every move they made was amplified by their connection to the eternal energy, every action sharper, more precise. And with every passing moment, they grew stronger. The pirates tried to push back, but their attempts were futile. Their attacks were blocked by walls of energy, their weapons turned against them, and their troops scattered under the combined force of Liam and Orlan's mastery over the power. But the battle was far from over. As the pirates crumbled, the reality of what they had just done began to settle in. They had turned the tide not with sheer force, but with the energy that had connected them. But at what cost? Liam felt the weight of the power inside him. It had pushed him past his limits, and he could feel it threatening to consume him entirely. He wasn't sure how much longer he could hold on. The price of using the energy so freely, so recklessly, was becoming more apparent with each passing second. Orlan, he said, his voice shaky but determined. We've changed. We've won, but the energy, it's still inside us. We can't keep doing this forever. Orlan looked at him, her face a mixture of concern and understanding. I know, Liam, but for now we've done what needed to be done. The pirates won't recover from this. We've stopped them from seizing the eternal energy, and the universe is safe for now. But even as she said the words, both of them knew that the victory had come at a great price. The eternal energy had given them the power to save the universe, but it had also changed them in ways they didn't fully understand. The power they had harnessed was beyond anything they could have imagined, and as they looked at the wreckage of the pirate stronghold, they realized that their fight was far from over. The war had been won, but the battle for control over the eternal energy was only just beginning. And as they stood together stronger than ever, they knew that the road ahead would be one of constant struggle, both against external forces and against the power they had unleashed within themselves. In the end, their connection to the eternal energy had given them the strength to win, but it also held the potential to consume them. The cost of their victory was yet to be fully understood, and as they moved forward, the question remained, how much would they be willing to sacrifice to protect the universe they had fought so hard to save? The battle was over, but the echoes of it lingered in the air like a storm that had yet to fully pass. The pirate stronghold lay in ruins. Their forces scattered, their plans for domination shattered. But as Liam and Orlin stood in the aftermath, the weight of their actions hung heavy between them. The eternal energy, once seen as a potential weapon, was now something more. It was part of them, and the power it had granted them was both a blessing and a curse. They had defeated the pirates, but they had also unlocked a force that neither of them fully understood. "We did it," Liam said, his voice hoarse, yet with a note of finality. "We've saved the station. We've stopped the pirates. But at what cost?" Orlin, standing beside him, looked out over the wreckage. Her face was drawn, tired from the battle, but her eyes were clear. "We've done what we had to do, Liam," she said softly. "The galaxy is safe for now. But the energy, it's not just a power source. It's part of us now, and we don't know what it means for the future." The words hung in the air, a reality they both had to face. They had used the eternal energy to fight and win, but in doing so, they had changed. It wasn't just their physical bodies that had been altered. Their very souls were connected to the energy now. They were no longer just two individuals. They were something else entirely. Liam felt the energy pulsing inside him, a force that both fueled him and pushed him toward the edge of control. He had always been a soldier, someone who fought for a cause, but now he was something more. "Orlin," he began, his voice quiet but filled with a sense of finality. "We've crossed a line. The energy has changed us, but it's also changed everything. We can't just walk away from this." Orlin turned to face him, her expression softening. "I know," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "but we can't go back either. We've seen what the energy can do, and now it's up to us to decide what to do with it." They both understood what that meant. They had the power to shape the future, to decide the course of the galaxy. But with that power came great responsibility. "We could use this energy to rebuild." Liam suggested, the weight of the choice in his words. "We could bring peace, bring balance to the galaxy. But what if we're wrong? What if the energy consumes us in the end?" Orlin's gaze was steady as she considered the options. "What if we don't use it? What if we let others try to control it? If we walk away now, someone else might come along, someone who thinks they can use the energy for their own gain. The pirates were just the beginning. We could stop this once and for all." Liam's mind raced as he processed her words. She was right, of course. They could lock the energy away, hide it, ensure it was never used again. But that meant denying the galaxy the chance to evolve, to grow. It was a choice they would have to live with, whatever they decided. "We can't let anyone else use it, but we also can't let it destroy us," he said finally. Orlin nodded, her voice calm but resolute. "We'll have to control it, not just for us, but for everyone. We'll keep it safe, make sure it's used for good, but we can't do it alone." Their journey had changed them. They had gone from partners in a fight for survival to something more, guardians of a force far beyond their comprehension. But in this moment, standing together amidst the chaos they had just overcome, they realized that they were ready. They were ready to make the final decision. "We'll need to find a way to make sure the energy stays with us," Orlin said, her mind already working. "We'll need to ensure that no one can ever misuse it again. But we can't lock it away. It's part of us now. We'll protect it, but we'll also use it carefully, and only when we have no other choice." Liam looked at her, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll control it together." The decision was made. They would protect the eternal energy, but they would also shape its destiny, making sure that it was used for the good of the galaxy, not its destruction. As the station stood in ruins around them, they knew their journey was far from over. They had won this battle, but the war for the future of the universe was just beginning. They had the power to change everything, and with that power came the responsibility to ensure it didn't consume them. Together, they would fight to protect what they had created, and together they would shape a future that was worth fighting for. "We've come this far," Liam said, his voice steady, "and we'll keep fighting for each other, for the galaxy, and for the energy that binds us." Orlin smiled, the weight of their decision heavy but resolute. "Together," she agreed, "always." And with that, the future of the universe rested in their hands. But for the first time, Liam and Orlin were no longer afraid. They had the power, and they knew exactly what they would do with it.